The thought that we are holding families at the border, putting them in cages, making children sleep on cement floors.
If you can hear me, I want to tell you a quick story about what's going on in this country. It was a year ago plus that there were 110 Iraqi Christians living in this area. ICE picked them up out of the blue. Out of the blue. Most of them had been here for 30, 40 years. All of those who picked up who had children who are American citizens. And they sent them to a detention facility. And I went to Youngstown to talk to them. And here's what one of them said. I came here as a child. I married. I have children. They want to put me on a plane to Baghdad. I did well. I have some resources. I could hire someone to take me. But I have no place to go. I am an American. That's where I belong.
We call for the immediate release of all children detained in the U.S., as well as all immigrants detained in the camps and detention centers around the world. Look at the teachers who rebelled against the unions and went on strike. Look at the auto workers and UPS workers who are sick and tired of two-tier wages and impoverishment. The struggle is the struggle of the whole working class, and we are fighting for that. Thank you very much.
I'm here putting myself on the line, okay? But it's a peaceful line. It's fierce love because I care, because I'm a mom. And if any of you see earlier, my husband was here with my two daughters because I care, because I cannot even imagine being away from them. I'm nursing right now, and if there was anything to happen, if my family was separated, I would be devastated. I grew up in foster care, okay? I was put into foster care. I know what that experience is like. I don't know what it's like when you come to a country where you know nobody and you don't speak the language. Let's march peacefully around the building, without any traffic, and then into Hart Plaza, and let's be a community.
As long as they let us fight each other, as long as the non-profits have their own little silos, then they're not going to be afraid of us because we're just too busy competing with each other. But when we come together, there's nothing we can't change.
This movement of And the poor people's campaign must go on, and the struggle must go on, because Dr. Martin Luther King identified 4 issues that need to be discussed and need to be fought against. Number 1, systemic racism. Number 2, poverty. Brothers and sisters, did you know, in the richest country in the world, those are true statistics, in the richest country of the world, the United States of America, that's made up of little over 300 million people, 140 million people live at poverty and below poverty level. The third thing he identified is militarism. Did you know 54 cents of every dollar of our budget goes to military and defense when poor people are struggling to make ends meet? And finally, the ecological devastation, the climate change, where Mr. Trump pulled out of the Paris Accord. So brothers and sisters, this is your movement. This is your movement.
I would just like to say I am very encouraged and still with so much joy to see people here, because there's so many people of every kind here, people of every color, every religion, every race. I want everybody to know the only hope for our democracy is the unity of the people. And we're going to do it. It's happening even as we speak. I know the other speakers said there's demonstrations going on all over the country. And in many instances, we see demonstrations all around the world. This is a global struggle. It's a global struggle. And we can do it. Let's just keep on going, keep fighting. The Lord says, don't grow weary in well-doing. We're not going to grow weary. We're going to keep going. We're going to fight, and we're going to win. When they mess with the children, that's when they're making the greatest mistake. They do not mess with my kids.
God did not send someone to separate families, separate children, divide us, bring us hate. God says God is a God of love. He's a God of peace. He's a God of joy. In the last 18 months, we haven't seen a lot of that. We've been fighting. But this is warfare. And we got to be ready for warfare. Not the warfare putting hands on people. Warfare with voting. Warfare with resisting. Warfare with protesting. Look around you. You're not by yourself. There's a lot of us out here. And this is a battle that we are going to win.
We can deal with all of the problems that are facing minorities in this country and the economic issues that are affecting people. But I remember when Martin Luther King started talking about a multi-ethnic coalition to reform the way economics worked in the USA. Rural whites, urban blacks, people of all races, immigrants. Somebody shot him. This fight won't be easy. And I mean, it's harder for a lot of people who aren't white like me. My mother was an immigrant, but you couldn't tell by looking at me. We all need to stick together. We all need to work together. Take care of those who need more effort, more help, but take care of everybody, and all of us work to a common purpose. That's what I believe.
In 1963, in this city, some of you are way too young to remember, but I'm 68, and I remember. Right here in this city, Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. marched. It was the first time the I Have a Dream speech was delivered. Many people don't know that. And here we are today. And this is a beautiful sight. I was 13, just turned 13. My parents marched. And my mother got my father involved, and he was like, Lord have mercy. But she marched because because she was in the service of the United States Women's Army Air Corps, and it was so prejudiced that from that moment on, she decided, I have to be active. And that's what made my father active. And that's what made me active. And that's what has made all of you active. This can't stop today, people. I need you to write your legislators. I need you to call your legislators. I need you to call out your legislators. Together we stand, or apart we perish. Don't let today be the only day. I love you all. Black, brown, red, yellow, it don't matter. Because we all, amen, my brother. Because we all come from the same creator.
Education, liberation, no more deportation. 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 Thank you. I am a young person, like I'm 15, and I'm black, I'm Indian, I'm queer, I'm female. And over the last year, I just feel overwhelmed and terrified all the time. But I feel, thank you. But I also feel even more nervous because I can't vote. I'm 15 and I won't be able to vote for another 3 years. But what I can do to involve myself in the election process is on the weekends, I go and I knock doors for candidates that I like. And I encourage the seniors at my school to vote, and people who I meet on the street, I ask them to vote when I'm campaigning. And I think that's something all of the young people, all of the high schoolers, all of the middle schoolers, you can all do. Because I feel really helpless a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean I can't do anything. You're making a difference today!
Okay, speaking of, I'm going to say a couple of things. Speaking of voting, we have our own senator, Debbie Stabenow. A lot of people don't agree with a lot of what she does, and a lot of people 50-50 with her. But the fact of the matter is she's the only Democratic senator right now that's in the lead, and she is up for re-election this November. So we have to get out and vote. Because we need to protect all the Senate seats. The majority of the Senate seats this election are Democratic. And we already saw with healthcare, at least, it only took 2 Republicans, and it took over a year of calling them from people in those states to convince them to not take away healthcare. So imagine if we had less Democratic senators, how terrible that would be. Another thing I want to mention is I've seen a lot with all this rise of ICE and all this rise of people's awareness that people are saying, this is not my America, that this is not the America I know. Well, I'm going to tell you that this is the America you know. This is the America that was born because of slavery. This was the America that made the Chinese Exclusion Act. This was the America that had a genocide of natives. This was the America that stole millions of people from the African continent and ruined the African continent and ruined the future of America because it never apologized. It never had reparations for any of these people. This is the country that destroyed the indigenous community. This is the country that took Japanese people and put them in internment camps. And they were citizens. They were not undocumented immigrants. The citizenship didn't protect them. This is our country. But this doesn't have to be our country. Yes. This is our country. Right now, undocumented immigrants aren't the only people being separated from their families. Look at our criminal justice system. Look at how many parents are separated from their children. How many black parents are separated from their children. How many poor parents are separated from their children, only for being born black. This is an America problem, and this is something today we are going to start to fix.
Yes. We cannot let fascism infest our liberated, free, democratic country. But guess what? I'm on time for this one, y'all.
All right
We're fighting for the very right. The fact that children are being held hostage at the whim of a dictatorial person who calls himself a president, but he really wants to be a dictator in a democratic country.
Look at the leaders he likes.
This is not the place for dictators. If you want to be a dictator, pack up your bags, catch a flight, and go try to be a dictator someplace where they welcome dictators.
Thank you.
This is a democracy.
A few minutes ago, one of the speakers mentioned that citizenship did not protect the Japanese. I just want to point out that all of the rights enshrined in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, apply to every human being that is 1 inch inside this country. All those rules apply to you. You don't have to be a citizen. So every person that ICE stops has the right to remain silent. If they are detained, they have a right to ask why they are being detained, and it has to be more reason than the color of their skin.
One thing you guys might not know, because I honestly didn't know this till a little while ago, there's a smart millage on the primary. And we were talking about protecting our most vulnerable citizens. SMART is very important to people that, can't afford a car. They need SMART to get to school and get to work. So make absolutely sure you vote in that August 7th primary for the SMART millage. And make sure you get all your friends to vote too. Thanks.
Right next to me. What's the fault of this little child to be deprived of fatherhood? What's the fault of this little child for her father to be deported? Diana, you want to say something?
I just want Donald Trump to bring everybody back if they can't come back, and I want him to let my father come back.
We need to help the families that were separated from their parents. We need to show love and compassion to them. We need to go to them and let them know that there are people out there that care for them and care about them and their cause. And gatherings like this is only the beginning to big change, God willing. So keep it up. Keep the beat up.
So this lovely lady right there is my big sister, and she has just been such a huge role model and inspiration for my life, because she tells me about all these things and tells me about, can you hear me? She tells me about these protests, and someone before me said that we need to talk to the people who are closest to us.
Yes.
I think that really struck a chord with me, because I think this is the easy part, because we're surrounded by people who agree with us, like-minded people. But for me, especially at school, it's really hard to have discussions with my friends about politics and about things that I feel really passionately about, and things that I feel need to be said, because a lot of my friends don't have the same political views as me. And it's a difficult conversation to have.